So welcome to this video that's going to help explain an example psychology service learning digital concept map. I have already completed, or hopefully you've already watched, the first video that explains starting your mind map. This video is really going to focus more so on the components of your mind map and how to go about conceptualizing how to accomplish the goals for the mind map. So here's the mind map. And as we've already addressed, this middle section is going to be a theme or a topic that you really want to explore in greater depth throughout the semester. And as you get started on your mind map, you want to think first about your setting. What characteristics are there of the setting that you're going to be working in, the service learning site, to understand better the context and or the community the service learning site is kind of housed within. All right, so for the example project, my setting was psychiatric inpatient care, and as I've explained, you can see that I kind of explored ethics within inpatient care, locked facilities, common presenting concerns seen at the inpatient unit that I was working at, as well as the ways in which families were involved. And along the side, you see the articles that I found, and these little spots right here designate that I have a reflection written and a summary of that article and how it applies to my setting. So that is the setting. And then you also want to be thinking about who is the population served by your site. For me, the setting was predominantly serving children with severe mental illness, or SMI. All right. And in this section, I focus on information that was found related to a NAMI study that found families with children who have SMI experiences really have extreme hardships due to lack of appropriate services in the community. And you can see here that there's a link to that article and a reflection on that article. And then I also took one of the articles from our class and I started thinking deeper about this idea of deinstitutionalization and found some information about trans-institutionalization from psychiatric hospitals. And so by moving people out of institutions without the proper community support, there is research, as you can see here, and a reflection talking about how individuals who were in psychiatric inpatient facilities then were moved into penal institutions, so prisons, jails. And so the impact and where people are served and best served for their mental health needs, and reflecting on that. I also talk about mental health stigma in this section, and then also curiosity around different cultures and how different cultures deal with severe mental illness. And I've had found some videos from NAMI and some other sources related to African American families and mental illness, as well as Latino American families and mental illness. And so there's a link to the video and a reflection. So you want to make sure you are exploring and fully reflecting on the population that is served by the site. This can be people that you have contact with or people that you don't have contact with, but just that the site serves. And then lastly, you also want to have some time to reflect on the professionals at your site. And so this could include a variety of different professionals. In the psychiatric inpatient unit, I chose to focus on milieu therapists. They were individuals who had BAs, who were serving these kids day in and day out, and their experience was most interesting to me while I was there at the site. So talking about what that job is, also talking about collaborative care, and over here, I don't know why this is a little grayer, but the treatment team, who's part of the treatment team, as well as finding a resource for burnout and compassion fatigue, and then reflecting on what burnout, compassion fatigue, and compassion satisfaction really looked like for milieu therapists, and how I was engaging in self-care while I was there to make sure that I was at my best. So once I had reflected on all these three areas, thinking about the people that were served by the site, the setting itself, as well as individuals who were working at the site and serving individuals in the community, I ended up spending some time with some milieu therapists and talking about what things they might appreciate or what things could they benefit from me spending some time creating a project around. And those conversations led to a discussion about activities. So sometimes milieu therapists had downtime with the clients or the patients served at the site, but they didn't already have some idea for what they wanted to do with them. And so creating a therapeutic activity book that integrated, kind of activities that either explored emotions and kind of could help them therapeutically in some ways, but also were fun, was something that they were interested in. And because I was a minor in fine art at the time, I really wanted to make sure that I was integrating some art in there too, because I was interested in art therapy and potentially going to graduate school. So as a result, that led to what I wanted to do for my project. And so I first could do some research and reflection on what impact does artistic expression have on children and adolescents, as well as what is the efficacy or effectiveness of art therapy. So this is my area of interest. And so within this area, you can start to explore aspects of therapy effectiveness. You can think about what kind of emotional expression is relevant for your site. You could explore more about dementia or some certain disorder that you're interested in understanding better. And then as a result of kind of exploring and wanting to find out more about what is the efficacy of art therapy, I found some articles on outcome studies and randomized controlled trials and wrote reflections and summaries of those. And then also thinking about the active ingredients of art therapy. So meaning what part of art therapy actually makes it effective. And so finding an article relevant to that. And then lastly, thinking about therapeutic healing more broadly, because my role as an intern, and especially an undergraduate student, was not to engage in art therapy with anyone because I was still learning about psychology and I was not a therapist. And so I really wanted to broaden it and think, just in general, does art have some sort of therapeutic value in and of itself for healing and expression, and even when it's not part of formal therapy? So that when I'm creating this book, it was not intended to be used by therapists. It was intended to be used by milieu therapists, and they're called therapists, but they aren't actually licensed professionals. So found an article related to public health and healing and art and the role in healing processes, and so reflected on that, right? And so this section is getting me ready to create my deliverable, whatever that may be.